sometimes there might be a lot of stuff in my music you might not understand on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, 10th listen. So Ben's a good guy.
He's a great guy. He's just tall and silly.
So my favorite song, personally, all of them. It's like not, but
all of them.
Shout out,
everybody. Shout out.
I got so much love for the game, man. Like.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of. Now, I say this with every episode. Every episode, there's always a treat, but I feel like the community that we have around us, there's always a treat to be had on the show. So, you know, we've had a filmmaker, we've had a stylist, fashionista, we've had an artist. And there's so many more people to get through, but today we have a musician. And he's not just a musician, don't get me wrong, but I feel like once y'all hear his music after today, y'all are going to be like, wow. Can't believe he was on Destiny's show. Can't believe he's making moves and everything. But I'm gonna let him tell his side, because, you know, you can only hear it from the source. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Marcus Williams. Thank you for coming on the show.
How y'all doing, man? What's going on?
You know, I know this is kind of like our first meeting. We've had a conversation before this. We talked before this too. So I got to know a little bit about you, but I want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and, you know, how you got your start into acting and music and anything artistic, really.
Okay, so I'm Marcus Williams. You can call me Marcus, Mark, whatever you want to call me. My artist name is Dorian Vitae, but before we go into that, I want to talk about how I started acting first. I feel like acting was just the prime thing that opened the door to the rest of my expression, really. So I started acting when I was in middle school. I went to Thomas G. Pullen Arts Academy. And from there, even though they were very minor roles, I was this character named Hendrik on Boost in Sleepy Hollow. And then after Sleepy Hollow, we did Lion King Jr., where I was, you know, the hyena Bonsai from Lion King? Yeah. And although that was those roles are pretty tough as far as like just really getting out there, me being on stage for the first time. So yeah, that's how I got my start in acting. Theater.
Yeah. And tell us how, you know, you kind of got your calling to music as well.
Oh, so my calling to music, I used to have this old friend in high school, and he made music first, and I wrote poetry. Like I started writing poetry my junior year of high school. Yeah, so I wrote, my poems were really dreamy, and when I would show them to people, I was like, this is really good. Like I like to paint this whole immersive type of world when I wrote my poetry, and I would like to just put myself in other people's shoes, or just me from a standpoint that's like existential. And I found that a lot of my poems were either things that people couldn't understand or things that people could understand. Or I love getting just questions asked about just specific words or details that I got when I wrote my poems and stuff like that. And the way I had started with my music, transitioning into my poetry, was that, you know, I was just at his house one time and he was making music, and I was like, you know what? Let me see what I can do. So I had made music, and at first it sucked. Like it was bad. But you know, you got people around you asking if the music is good and stuff like that. And, you know, they'll be like, oh yeah, man, music good. Why don't you drop this? And I was like, I'm not setting myself up by dropping this trash music. Yeah. So I just made sure I had perfected the craft, or at least I wanted to know that I was really good at making music. So when I dropped my first song, people would be like, nah, bro, that's not your first song. You've been doing this. I was like, nah, it's my first song. So yeah, I started making music with my old friend.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, you didn't want to like start out completely like fresh out the gate, just
Yeah,
dropping a song that's like garbage. But I mean, you gotta start somewhere. You
yeah,
gotta
you
get
do, yeah.
feedback. But I'm glad that you were able to, find that in yourself too, because I've always said that I've had an inkling for music. Like I would love to produce beats and stuff, but I'm not sure like where to get that start in, I
Oh,
guess.
you can start in I started at YouTube University. So
YouTube University.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
it'll do you right.
yeah.
I
YouTube
mean,
has plenty of producers and just because I produce too. So
yeah,
and the beginning, like looking at a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation, that shit is hard. Like it's
yeah,
really hard at first. It'll intimidate you, but the more you watch YouTube videos and the more you just learn different stuff about the interface that you're using to like produce the beats. Like there's FL Studio, which is what I use. There's Logic.
hmm,
There's Pro Tools. Like there's a number of like digital audio workstations to use. But once you find like your niche, the niche music type of music that you want to listen to, like whether you like people like Tyler the Creator, J Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Future, Lil Baby, whoever you like. Just look up how to make beats like them, I would say, and then turn it into your own thing because you want to be you when you make music. You don't want to be somebody else when you make
exactly, exactly. I'm glad you said that too. So, before we start, I was having some trouble with this before, but how do you say your artist name for the
My
people?
artist's name is Dorian Vitae.
Dorian Vitae. See, I was saying Vitae, but he was like, it's okay. But I was like, no, we got to say it the right way because we got to respect the artist, right?
Right.
Right, right. So, Marcus, can you tell us about your acting projects? And I know all about Who Killed Mr. Matthews, but I heard you also have another project as well that you're working on.
Right. Okay, so you want to hear about stuff I
You
did
could,
at Bowie State first, or
yeah, yeah. Tell
okay?
me how. Yeah.
So my first project at Bowie State University was a student film called Another. And I don't, you guys, people at Bowie State in the VCDMA apartment are probably familiar with Torrance Does, Quantrez, Brown, uh,
Mhm.
and some other people. I can't remember the last names, so I'm not gonna say the names, but
Mhm.
Torrance and Quantrez. So that film, they had this film called Another, and that was a good film, and it was a good start for me to really just start acting at Bowie. But that film was about how there were she, if I can remember correctly, but she was a student. She was a student at Bowie State University or whatever school in the play, but
Mhm.
she doesn't want to go to school. She wants to live her life, and she feels like college is like taking away from her life.
Yeah.
And so she asks her dad, who just so happens to be like a scientist type of person, and he makes this clone of her. But the clone is it's at first it's all right, but after a while the clone starts taking over Torrance's life, and now we have to destroy this clone before it starts getting more and more out of hand, doing things that it's not supposed to. But
Mhm.
in the production of that film, I got to meet a lot of new people, work with a lot of creative people, and it was fun being on set. That's probably one of my favorite things about being an actor, is just being on set, feeling the vibe of everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the
And I know.
second film,
Yeah.
oh, what were you about to say? Sorry.
And I was gonna say I agree with you. Like the whole idea of being on set is is fulfilling and it is draining too because not even just behind the scenes, but if you're in front of the camera, you have to memorize your lines. You have to
Yeah.
make sure you have a good rapport with your fellow actors. And I mean, like, but it overall, it is a great experience. And anyone who would love to like be on set, I would encourage you to, even if you start off on a small set, every set has its own personality and hopefully it's a good one. But the sets that I've worked on myself have been great. So I wanted to attest to what you were saying.
Uh, and then we also had, oh, Insane, 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 Insane. That was a good film too, and that's up. That's not out yet. Do you know Ezekiel Crampton?
I think I do. Yeah, Zeke.
Yeah,
Zeke. I
yeah,
know Zeke.
Zeke. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone calls him Zeke. Yeah, he's a crazy guy. Man, bro.
I don't know him personally, but
Okay.
I've talked to him on a couple occasions.
Zeke is he's a very creative person, and he's writing manga right now. Like that's anime adaptation type of thing. But yeah, so I was in Zeke's film Insane, and that was with Keisha, Maya, and a few other people who are really interesting to work with. But Insane was about how I was the main character, Ren, and basically they built. Actually, I don't want to spoil this film. So I don't even know if I should talk about the whole thing because it ain't even out yet. But yeah, that was a good film to be a part of, because again, I was working with really creative people, and everyone just has so much talent. I love
everybody.
It.
And you know what? Going back to what you were saying about the amount of people that you worked with at Bowie State, I mean, I've talked about this with Peyton and also Mecca, my past guests, because they also went to Bowie State. And I mean, the community that we have there, even if you're not exactly in our specific major or our department or that building, like there's so many talented people across the campus that, you know, you have to get to know as many people as you can, really, because you never know, because you're in the communications department. So you're in MLK, you're down the way, but you're not entirely down the way. So I'm glad that you were able to make your way to us and, you know, be in our projects, because it's cool to have that collaboration aspect of, you know, being with your fellow Bowie State people.
Yeah, I feel like being in the VC DMA department versus being in the comm department in the MLK building, I just feel like it's a crossover episode, like Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah,
and Jimmy Turner.
Exactly.
Because it's like we're different, but we still working like the same calibers of technology and like life and stuff like that. Because there's even filmers in the VC DMA building. There's actors in the VC DMA building, and there's also like the same types of creative people in the comm building too.
Exactly.
And I do PR for whatever reason. Like PR is kind of like, I want to do PR, but I don't want to do PR. Like I really want to be an actor, but I mean, I guess PR can help me like just excel myself in marketing and stuff like that. But even my teacher, my sub promotion and marketing teacher, this man had superpowers. So and Payne will tell you too, like he had, at the last day of class, he basically sat us all down and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a reading on all of you. That's how he talks. So, and we were just like, okay, sitting down. After this man just gave us 2 finals after he sold us. So he read us, and it was cool because he was like, oh yeah, I'm a clairvoyant person. We're like, clairvoyant? What? So he was like, I have clairvoyance, and basically I can just guess what a person's life is gonna be like. So he had just went around just everyone telling people like, okay, this is how you are, this is where you're gonna be, and this is what you need to do to become that. So then it got around to me, and he was like, yeah, because I had to perform one of my songs in front of class, because you know, people can't shut their mouth.
I was gonna say, somebody told him that you did.
Yeah, somebody told him.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, he knew already, but he was never pressing it like, oh, you should perform a song for us, blah, blah, blah. It was the last day of class, and Zeke was like, Marcus, why don't you just perform your song for the final or whatever? And I was like, Zeke, shut your mouth, buddy. And he was like, nah, professor, you should tell Marcus to perform his song. And then Payton was like, oh yeah, dude, why don't you just perform your song? And I was like, oh my gosh. And everybody was like, yeah, Marcus, just perform your song for the 8. So
it's like you got to do it at that point. If everybody,
like I can't just be like no, because I would suck if I did that. But I did it, and it's not like I'm nervous to perform or anything. I just like was hoping that could kind of go past. So I performed on the stage. Well, not the stage, but behind the table or whatever. And he was like, oh my gosh, that was really good. And I was like, okay, that's tough. And he was just telling me like, I'm really good at the music. And then he started doing this clairvoyant stuff on me. So he was like, yeah, you don't even want to do PR. And I was like,
he immediately caught the aura that you
he knew that the whole thing was a facade from the jump.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, you don't even want to do PR. And I was like, I mean, you're not wrong. And then he was like, you need to stop using PR as a safety net. So I was like,
I mean, you can never go wrong with the communications degree. PR is always going to be there because people are crazy out here, so they need somebody to ease the pain of whatever backlash that they may go through. So I mean, communications is always going to be needed, and especially our major is always going to be needed too, because media is evolving. So whichever route that you take, all in all, you know exactly what you want to do, so you don't exactly have to have a career in that. So like you doing music, you don't have to be a music major. You acting, you didn't have to be a theater major. So it's all, I think it's really cool that we're in a place now in society that you can get a degree in something and also do something that you love to actually do on the side. So
how did you know that you when did you start knowing that you wanted to do film?
Am I being interviewed right now?
I'm interviewing the interviewer.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of started like posting videos on YouTube when I was a teenager. It's funny because people are always like, oh, I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker because I would always watch movies and go to the movies and dissect movies. I wasn't necessarily like that. Like, I would watch movies, but I would never like have any critical thinking necessarily. But one thing I did do is I would go on YouTube and I would watch videos on like ending explained for certain movies that I watched. So that was the start. I did my YouTube videos. I really liked editing. I like being in front of the camera, surprisingly, because I'm not shy now, but like if you don't know me that well, I'm probably not going to interact with you that much because you don't know me or I don't know you. I just have to get comfortable around you. But I do like being in front of the camera to a certain extent. Don't get me twisted. I like being behind the camera too. That's my expertise. But I think doing those YouTube videos and showing my personality through whether I was doing like reactions or like vlogs and stuff, I think that helped too. I was also in the communications department, surprisingly, my first semester, but I changed my major because I was like, filmmaking seems like more aligned to what I would like to do. So I had to change my major. But I was fine with that because I met so many people through the VCDMA department, the Fine and Performing Arts building, and just Bowie State in general. So that's how I got my start. And then I also wanted to see representation in media for Black people in ways that, you know, I saw fit. I wasn't really seeing what I wanted to see in movies.
Right.
But it was mostly indie movies where I would see that representation, but not exactly. So I thought it would be cool for me to have my own take on things. So I was like, why not? Why not just take the leap? I mean, I never really felt passionate about any major per se. Like, I think film was exactly what I was looking for. Because when I was in the communications department for that one semester, I think I was a journalism major. That's not what I wanted to do. So, yeah, that's really how I came to my decision. It wasn't exactly in the forefront of my mind, but yeah, that's how I got my start. It was funny you asked that because, yeah.
So from like your film journey, is there anything from that? Are there any stigmas in like the Black community that you want to break through your films? Like just stuff that we see all the time in Black films that you don't necessarily really want to put in the films that you're making now.
You know, I think there's a lot of trauma in our movies, and I mean, it's valid because as Black people, all we've been put through is trauma. You know, for as long as we can remember, for our like all of our lineage is rooted in trauma. You know, from slavery, even before slavery. I mean, we're still constantly battling beating cycles, generational trauma, generational curses. Like, we're trying to beat that steadily. So I think it's always been me trying to show a happiness and an uplift in the Black community through my work. I mean, the trauma aspect and the you know, I know not everything's made happy all the time. That's a given. But I think there was like a period in time where all we saw were slave movies, like a couple years ago. Like, it gets tiring after a while. So I mean, just having my own take on things, like I said, like, I don't think it has to be that all the time. There are joyous stories that we can tell. And I think we kind of got past that era of slave movies and everything. But yeah, I mean, there's so many happy stories we can tell about our people because we are a great community. And even though we've been put through so much, there's so much happiness that can be told through our different mediums. Yeah. Was that all the questions you had for me?
Yeah, I was gonna let you get back to it. I don't want to ask too much. Yeah.
No, but I'm glad that you asked me because like, I've been asked, but I haven't been asked, you know, those deep questions. But I'm glad you asked me. I mean, I always got an answer ready. So
for sure.
But going back to your music, can you describe your music style for someone who hasn't listened to your music?
Okay, so my music style it ranges because in my music I play a lot of just different characters. Some of the characters are just erratic, some of the characters are traumatic, vengeful. Just there's a lot of animation. At least that's what people tell me. I have a lot of animation in my music, the way I rap, the way I stress my words out and stuff like that. But to someone who hasn't listened to my music before, I would say be ready to go on an adventure or a type of journey. Like, we might be going overseas, we might be traveling across the island, we might be anything. That's what I feel like I'm here to do. I'm here to tell a story, and throughout that story, it can be things that are relevant to the world. It can be things that I'm feeling personally and something that hopefully you could relate to. It could be things that I've never been through before, but I just want to put myself in that sort of position to where somebody in the world may be going through a type of struggle, or somebody in the world may be going through something personal or just something in general. I just want to be able to fit all the boxes and just express myself to the utmost that I can. Yeah. So yeah, journey in a story. It's hard to explain. Like, I feel like my music is just complex. Like, it's very abstract. Sometimes there might be a lot of stuff in my music you might not understand on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, 10th listen. So,
but on that 11th listen, you won't get it.
Oh my God.
But I think it's funny that you say that because it's like filmmaking. You're telling a story with your music. You're going on a journey through your music. So if you're not telling a story, then it's like, what exactly are you talking about? That's how I feel. If I'm listening to music, I want to go through a journey. I want to be told a story through my ears. You know what I mean?
Right.
So with your music, you know, I looked on your page and I saw that album cover. First of all, let's take a look at it actually. So this is his album cover for The Passerby. And I was like, I was immediately drawn to it because I was like, who made this? Who designed this? Can you tell me who designed this?
So, when I was venturing out to find an artist for this album cover, I went to this great place called Fiverr.com. So
shout out to Fiverr.
Yeah, shout out to Fiverr, man. Like, there's so many people on Fiverr, and I was just like, you know what? I ain't drawing. So I went to Fiverr, and I can't remember his name right now, but he drew this. I gave him what I wanted. I gave him the prompt. I was like, look, I want my boy overseas with some boats. And yeah, for this one, overseas, I wanted to be on the boat. Some might say this gives a Life of Pi type vibe.
It does. And
Some
you
might
know
be
what
right.
that's actually one of my favorite movies. So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you gained inspiration from that.
Yeah.
But
and it's funny because I thought A Life of Pi a little bit, but I've actually never seen that movie before. Like
that's
ever.
crazy. You should watch it. Actually,
yeah, I'll
Go
watch it. Yeah, there's a lot of movies that I need to watch, but yeah, basically, this cover was just like, how can I depict something of a person who lacks purpose in life and needs to go on a journey away from everybody and just really find who he is, or finally start taking those necessary steps in life to being successful and the greatest person that he can ever be. Like, I'm trying to be the greatest of all time. So what do I need to do to get to that point of just existence, period? And with this cover art list that you're showing right now, like everything has like the whole sailor type of setting that I have in this, and like I'm just wearing some shorts and like a faded, like dingy collared t-shirt, and I'm just sitting on the boat with the sand just falling through my hands. Like, I just wanted to just vividly create a picture where people could be like, oh my gosh, like, where's he about to go? How is he about to get where he needs to get on this nasty wooden boat? Like, yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with the concept of the Passerby?
Okay, so the concept of the Passerby, yeah,
like, I know you told me about you just wanting to get away. How did you convey that? Or not how did you convey that, but you wanting to convey that through the artwork.
Okay, yeah.
I'm intrigued about how you came up with the concept or the whole idea of the Passerby.
Okay, so the concept of the Passerby was, I was at a point in life last year where I just felt like I wasn't doing enough for myself. I was not necessarily. I was doing more for other people because I like to help people a lot. But it gets to a point where you kind of help people so much, you kind of start taking away from, I feel like, your own soul. Like, there's points in life where you should just feed your soul something that is needed just to bring that inner child out for a little bit or a long time. Like, there's something that you need, and that's kind of what I need. I feel like I was just lacking purpose in life. Sometimes I feel like that today, like whether life has like I know I might be going a little deep here, but sometimes I wonder, I was like, does life have is there a point to all of this that I'm doing? And I kind of went through that in the Passerby, which is like, I like to sometimes picture myself like in my mind, like I'm in just a void, kind of just floating around. With the Passerby, I wanted to create something that was more tangible. So I had the boat idea, and I'm setting sail to who knows where I'm going. I might just be going where the wind takes me. Like on the last song is called The Lark Song, which is basically just me talking about where I went and how far I came. And all I have is nature. Like nature to guide me by my side while I'm just venturing this area of life where I'm trying to be my best self ever. And what new people I'm going to meet. Like, everything in life is a mystery. So
everything.
Yeah. I got tired of just living in the past, and I wanted to start living more in the present. And I just wanted to follow that mystery, I guess, and find what the point of life really is. So in like song 1, Trouble in Paradise, basically the character starts off and he's just really mad at the world. And this is the perfect intro to Dorian Vitae, because in real life, I was like, some people did me dirty. But at the end of the day, it's like, did I really just stay down this long just because some other people did me dirty? Like, there's so many other things in life where I need to be doing, or where I could be, but I'm still thinking about some BS that happened a year or two ago. But he's just mad at the world, like just talking just out loud, like, I never got handed nothing, like all these excuses that really just got me down in the mud pretty much. And I was like, man, just F it all. I need to step my game up and really just go for everything that I want to go for, pretty much.
Yeah. And you made so many good points when you were explaining everything. And I think oftentimes, like, I go through this too. I didn't know what my purpose was exactly going through college. And especially after you graduate, it's like you have a coming to moment because you kind of sit there and like, wow, like one of my identities, I identify as a student when I was in school and everything, but I graduated. Like, what do I do now? And I think I'm still on that journey as well. But like you said, sometimes you gotta drift and just catch the wind, see where it takes you, because life is very funny, but life can be cruel too. And I think right now I'm in a space where I'm happy where I am right now. And it was a bit scary, like after graduation, because it's like you got to think about job, money. You got to think about being an adult for the first time, really. So I think it really spoke to me in that aspect because, like, I feel like a drifter too. Like I don't know where I'm going, and this kind of scary, but I think ultimately, like, I know that I'll be somewhere that I'm proud of. And then, so I think this can speak to all of the drifters out there, as we say. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Sorry.
No, go ahead,
I was just about to say, I think it's interesting that you like speak on like happiness and stuff like that. Cause even to this day, even though I feel like I'm doing everything that's like feeding my soul, whether it's like acting or making music or whatever, I still don't feel like I'm not happy, like, I guess, but it's like, it's guiding me along in my music and my acting is kind of a memento to just, I guess, keep me grounded. Cause I have this thing about me where it's like, I can do something, I guess, spectacular to some people's eyes or great, I guess. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like when I'm done with all of that, I'm never satisfied, like, for real. Like, I'm just like,
yeah, well, I agree. Like, I agree so much. And it's crazy because I feel like a lot of us creators go through this too. Like we can get all the praise in the world from outside, but like on the inside, I'm still like I'm not satisfied. But like even with my senior thesis film, my short film, right? I showed it at the senior showcase and everything, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, it was so great! It was the best one." I was like, but still, like, I don't feel like this is the best I could do. And it's hard because you can't be that hard on yourself, especially if it's your first project ever that you put out. So I've tried to not be too harsh on myself in that aspect. And I think it's still going to be there. There's going to be some sort of criticism coming from myself as I go. But I have to just understand that I have to just have fun with what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, we are our own biggest critics. That could be to an extent too. So
I was just thinking because it's like,
you gotta let it like simmer.
Because I'm still trying to like just battle like how to get out of that state of mind, like just trying new things every day, whether it's reading books or doing something that you wouldn't normally do, but just how to capture that satisfaction and just live in that moment because it's a skill, honestly. Like
it is. And for people that are able to block that voice out in their mind, like, I commend you because it's so hard. Like, someone can tell me that I'm so good at something and I would still feel like I'm not. It's hard. But I wanted to ask you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
No. No, I forgot. You're interviewing me too. So go ahead.
I was gonna ask, like, when's the last time you would say you felt like just extreme like bliss or nirvana for something that you worked on, like something that just the last time you just felt really happy?
So I recently was able to go to the CIAA championship games in Baltimore So I brought my camera. So I have a Canon T6. So it's mainly used for photography. It has a video feature, but it's not really used for video. But that's the only camera that I have. So I was like, okay, I know the quality isn't going to be as great as the camera I want, but we're going to make the most of it. So the footage itself didn't come out bad. But it wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be. And I have this thing where I constantly compare what I have to other people and what they got from the event and what I got from the event. And I'm like, I'm not really feeling this footage. But I was like, I went all the way there, so I need to make something from it. I need to create from it, regardless.
Yeah.
So I made like a highlight reel on my my art page, 727 art, just so y'all know, 727 art, 727.art. You find it there. Yeah. But I made the highlight reel and it was really good. So the footage itself was kind of grainy because you have to play with the lighting on the actual camera itself because, you know, depending on where we are. So it was a little bit grainy. But I made it into like a thing where it's like a film, like it was shot on a film camera. So I played into that aspect of it and it worked out pretty well. It came out really great. I was really happy when I saw the end result. So that was the last time I would say that I was very happy about something that I put out. And that was, I don't think it was a month ago, but it was a couple weeks back. But yeah, that was the last time. I'm glad you asked that because it really got me thinking. I was like, I was really happy about that project.
Happiness is it's a really cool feeling to have. Like when you know it's there, and just proud of something that you've done. Like there's nobody that can be more proud of you than you. Like when you do something. So
and you know, I think it's cool too because I don't really focus on how other people are going to feel about my work, but sometimes I want to share with people what I came up with so I can see how other people feel about it too. I know there are going to be times where I get that constructive criticism, but I think in the end, I just want to get better with my craft. So just sharing it is something that I've gotten more comfortable with doing. So I think that's pretty cool too. What about you? When's the last time you came up with something or created something that you were proud of?
It sucks I have to think about it. I mean,
it happens though.
I can't even say it was the Passerby because it's like whenever I create something, like I just get nervous. Like after
I do too.
I'm done with it.
Yeah.
But as far as like happiness and expression of something that I did, it was probably in like high school, to be honest. Like it's far back. Like the last time I just was like, it was. So we used to do these things called theater festivals in high school, and we would perform a scene, and if we won a scene or monologue, we would go perform in front of everybody at like a PG County like theater festival. So me and my friend, we won a theater festival, and I think that was like the last time. It might have been the first time that I had ever jumped for joy in anything.
Yeah.
And that's so weird. It's like outside of that, I don't really know if I've ever been that happy since that time where I just jumped for joy. Like the Passerby was, don't get me wrong, it perceived very well. Like it did really good, but when I finished it, it was more of a breath of fresh air than like happiness. It was more like me channeling stress and just the weight of the world on my shoulders, and like, like that was a.
Why do you think that is though? Is music like an outlet for you to express those emotions?
Yeah, it definitely is a outlet for me to express my emotions because I'm not somebody who I guess talks to a lot of people about my emotions or feelings, And even still, it kind of gets conveyed that way in my music. Like I'm still not necessarily talking to you directly about my feelings, but my feelings are all there. Like, and however I rap, but I've never really been a person to just talk about my feelings to other people. Sometimes I just don't feel like it's needed, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. But I wanted to go back to the album too. I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite song to create off the project?
So my favorite song, personally, all of them. It's like not, but
all of them.
If I had to say, can I do like top 3?
Yeah, top three.
Okay, so number 1, from a creative standpoint,
you should start from number 3 though.
I'm sorry, from number 3. Oh, for number 3. Okay. Yeah. So number 3.
You got to build up some tension.
Yeah. You're right. So number 3 would be probably Way Back Down. Yeah, Way Back Down with my friend Tyson, who was Tala on the feature. But that song was just basically like, the hook is like, I've been trying to find my way back down. I've been pushing through the strain, trying to get to the ground. And that was me basically, like, from me, like, when you get to a point, just you feel like you're up. I feel like you always have to find your way back down to that landing point, because if you get too far up, you're kind of, I feel like it's inevitable to kind of lose yourself in the process of doing anything great. So you just gotta try to find a way to level yourself back to that middle ground, just to really digest everything. So I kind of just took it back to my life, like me being in, like, one of the lines, I'm like, we was in a camp playing sharks and minnows, trying to find my way to the next side, ditto. And those just lines of reminiscence, just me in camp playing sharks and minnows. I don't know if a lot of people know what that game is, but it's just, I'm going back to that middle ground of just when I was a kid, how the simple things made me happier, like how the simple things back in life had meant so much to me. Now that I really go back and think about it, and how fast we lose all those things the older we get, just because, like, the system is taken away from us, or like we're just, the older you get, the more, like, bleak life starts to become. But
that's true.
We gotta all find a way to get out of that state of mind. So that's my number 3. My number 2, this is hard. On number 2, I Don't Want to Leave. From a creative standpoint, I Don't Want to Leave, Oh Girl, song number 7. So that song isn't necessarily about me, but I wanted to create a character where it's like just the state of dating in life, or just the state of how people chase people. Like, people don't let people come to them anymore. Or as a guy, like, a guy will really go crazy for a girl. You can sometimes, but sometimes it's just unhealthy, especially if the feeling is not reciprocated between two people. So I Don't Want to Leave starts with, like, this character visually seeing everything that is happening outside of his front window, and the dude is just like begging and pleading to this girl that he used to go out with, but she's pretty much done with him, but she's just not giving him the time of day anymore. But in his head, he can't process that through his head. But eventually throughout the song, he grows and he becomes like, oh yeah, what am I doing? Like, this is dumb. I need to move on. So I just would like for people to just open up more, like be open-minded to understanding people and meeting new people and learning new people, so they can, like, you know, find who they are. Because my whole thing is with, like, love and stuff like that, a lot of people just want to hop right into relationships and stuff, but
they don't want to get to know anybody. You know, I've been saying this for like the past couple of weeks now. I said I feel like there are no real lovers out there anymore. There's nothing like the music that my mom and dad grew up on. Like, they don't sing about that no more.
They don't
at all.
They don't. So like music back then was more, I feel like it was more authentic, because it felt like when, like, listening, especially, like, I have this thing where I like to listen to just 70s music, because I feel like 70s music is kind of like peak lovers music almost, like
like 70s and 80s, like
and like 70s music, it was just, I like to go back and listen. I love to go back and listen to just the 70s love song, like My Girl by the Temptations or something, or like
Mm-hmm.
Get Ready by the Temptations. I love the Temptations though. So
Yeah.
but it just, I feel like those people were in love at that point and they're really singing to this girl, and it almost feels real compared to how it is now, where it's like, oh, you got rap, oh, you got R&B, but it's like
like
drugs.
it just doesn't feel authentic at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, not
Yeah.
as much as it used to be. But I think as we get older, we just gotta appreciate the music that we have, because there's good stuff that comes out of like today's
Of
music,
course.
but
Of course.
also there's the music where it's like it just lacks in substance. But you know,
Exactly.
different strokes for different folks.
But
So
hey, you're bringing that back, right?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I
Now
don't want
tell
to
us
leave. It
what's.
just, oh, sorry.
No, I keep interrupting you. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, finish your thought.
Oh, I don't want to leave. Yeah, just captures that feeling of love and growth that I feel like everyone should have. And then song number one, I would say the closest home for me was Sip, number 8.
You know, I listened to that before we got on the call too.
Nice.
It was
What'd you think
vibey.
about it?
I liked it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So SIP, it stands for staring in space, and I find that I do that a lot. Like, I'm always either pacing back and forth somewhere, just out of habit, and sometimes I don't even realize that I'm doing it, or I'm just in a stoic just position and state of mind sometimes, where people could be talking, or sometimes I'm there but not really there, and I'm just really just thinking about things that go on in here and trying to sometimes get out, but sometimes I listen to my own thoughts just to see where my own head is at sometimes. So just staring into space is basically just a song about me talking about the stresses and how life is for me and how I view myself, just rules that the world has put on me, but that we don't necessarily have to follow. Like, one of the lines that I say in that song is like, I got the power to swap around all of these signs to do what I want in this life. I know he taking time while I'm staring in space. So like, I got the opportunity to change everything around me to just do what I want and excel from that and grow from that. And I feel like a lot of times, like, just we as people, we feel like there's so many roles being impended on us, and we want to get out of rough places and tough places, but we gotta break the rules sometimes. Like, we gotta do things that our way. Hopefully it's a positive way, a good way, but it was just something that's what that song was about. So SIP is number 1 for me.
Yeah, that was a good list though. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the whole album once we're done, but I appreciate you for giving us that breakdown. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think is next in your career, both musically and, you know, with acting and with school too?
So I'll start with acting first. Right now I'm currently in a TV show called Serene, and I play as the character Mateo Rodriguez. But Serene is a teenage sci-fi series that follows 2 sirens named Mateo and Rio. Basically, Mateo and Rio, as they're going on their journey of just trying to live on the land and not be, as they go on their journey, they find that some of their sirens are just disappearing. And through these strange disappearances, they're trying to uncover the truth of like why everything is happening. And Serene has such a diverse cast. I'm glad to be a part of it. Like, we have like Black people, white people, Hispanic people, just everyone together, and it's nice seeing that kind of representation in a TV show or just TV film in general, because I feel like I don't really see that a lot. Like, normally if it's a Black TV show, it'll be a Black TV show. It's a white TV show, it's a white TV show. Or they might have like one Black character in a white TV show, or just vice versa. And I'm like, the fact that I'm able to be a part of something where like we're actually bringing people together is amazing to me. And the writer's amazing, and that her name is Ariana Cameron, and the director Kari, like he's really good too. Like, when we did our campaign shoot and we met everybody, we all met each other, and that it was amazing time. And I know that production is gonna be really good when it comes out, and I've been promoting that on my Instagram and like other social media platforms too as well.
And you can find his social media platforms down below if you can't see it. And if they can't see it, if they're listening through the podcast, it is at Dorian Vitae.
Yeah.
Spelled Vitae. But Marcus, it's been great. It's been great. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been chatting, right?
Yeah. This has been vibey. I like this.
Yeah.
I like this
you
a lot.
do? I told you it wasn't gonna be anything crazy. We were just talking like friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
So
good that
now
I
we're
got
gonna
to meet you from Peyton and stuff like that. So
I know.
Yeah.
You know, going back to when we spoke about, you know, just the connections that we have and how great it is for us to meet each other through our school. Even though I'm alumni and you're still a student, like it's still cool that we have like Peyton as that connector to connect us to. So
Peyton's a good guy.
He's a great guy. He's just tall and silly. So, like we had fun.
Silly.
Yeah, we had fun episode, but yeah, like I'm always grateful for people to introduce me to new people too. So, like we're gonna work together, obviously in the future. Now that we met, but it's been really cool to talk to you today. Today, well, right now we're gonna pivot into. It's like a little mini game segment, so it's called Top 2, Not 2. It's just a game where you pick one option out of the other.
Okay.
Or pick one out of the two options. So I want you to pick one, and you have to explain why.
Okay.
But it's nothing crazy, like I said. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna start. So, rap or R&B?
Rap.
Yeah.
I say rap because I feel like R&B it uses a lot of the same elements like throughout time. R&B, like sometimes it's the same drum patterns, or sometimes it's just people. You can really hear the inspiration from R&B singers. Like sometimes I'll know exactly who that inspiration came from, and I feel like R&B, people can definitely experiment more. But as soon as you experiment with something with R&B, like a different type of voice, they'll just throw you in another category like alternative or indie music, which I don't think is fair.
Exactly.
Because
it's not.
How can we all be like just creators and we think that we're making something in this genre because we're inspired by like these great people, but the minute that we do it, they're like, oh, that's not R&B, that's alternative indie pop. Like
but when you say that, like, don't you think the rap that we hear like nowadays is kind of the same too?
Oh yeah. Definitely. So I feel like, but rap is more I feel like you can be more creative. Like rhythmically, rap, you can have so many flows and just so many identities, and it gives you more of an ability to tell a story because you're saying a lot more in a rap song that I feel like you are in an R&B song. Because a lot of things are just more stretched out. But rap songs, even though there are a lot of rappers who don't talk about a lot versus rappers who do talk about a lot, tell a story or just talk about something that's important, I just feel like rap is a good it's a better, for me personally, it's a better channel to just express. And then the productions of rap really vary.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy that you say that because like I've been noticing we've heard a lot of samples. It's been a lot of usage of the same samples really nowadays, whether that be in rap or R&B. So I thought that was interesting when I kind of became aware of that. But acting or writing?
Oh, I thought you was about to put acting or rapping. I was like, acting or writing? That's hard. I'm gonna say acting. But it's crazy because I love writing though.
You gotta say why. You gotta say why.
So I'm gonna say acting because like that's where I started. Like that's my bread and butter. Like I feel like to the writing and the music, I don't think I would do any of those if I never started with acting. Like acting taught me how to be myself, be other people, and just mediate those channels of connection when I go back and forth. And writing, like when I act and I do something, it gives me the inspiration to write. Say if I'm just walking around the house and I start doing an impression or something like that, I'm like, oh, that would sound good with this character. Let me write this character because I just did that impression. But that's all coming from me acting. So yeah, acting. I'm gonna say acting.
Yeah. All right. This last one, it might throw you in for a loop. Music or acting. And you have to explain why.
Oh, you gotta do that to the kid.
I know you gotta think about this one. If you can't see him right now, he has this thinking face on.
I'm trying to think what has brought me through more. All right. Dang. I'm gonna just say acting again. I'm gonna say acting. Again. Yeah, because again, I wouldn't be doing the things that I'd be doing if I never started acting. And just
it paved the way for you.
Yeah, it paved the way. And with my music, like you'll hear me playing the different characters, doing the different voices, doing the different impressions, just making the story more interesting through the acting in my music. And I feel like the acting has really just improved my imagination in creating characters and like just giving people, because when I make my music, I want to give people a story that they can see. Like I want people to see the imagery. I want them to feel the metaphors. I want them to be able to compare things and everything. Like the literary elements and theatrical elements of my music, I feel like is a big standout that people gravitate to, and that's all because of acting. So yeah, acting.
Right. I know that was probably hard for you.
It was super hard. I've never been asked that question before.
Yeah. We make you think on this show. But it's been great talking to you. I mean, I know we kind of just met, but it seems like you have great intentions with the work that you want to put out and things that you want to do. So with that being said, I want to ask you one final question. How do you want to be remembered when you're gone?
I want to be I want to be remembered as somebody who, let me think for a second. That's a big question.
It's a big question.
Because I've thought about this before. I don't think I've ever answered it fully. I want to be remembered as somebody who put their best foot forward and really inspired. I want to inspire a generation, to be honest. Like, I want people to not look at all the materialistic things in life. I just want people to, I want to be remembered as somebody who makes people love themselves for who they are. Because every day, like, as people, we try to fit into things that we're not. And the minute we finally just gravitate towards our callings and stuff like that, life becomes so much simpler and so much easier. But I feel like a lot of times we just give out love and we forget that love that we're giving out is coming from us. So we're basically separating ourselves from ourselves the more we just give and give. But I just want to be a staple, and like it's okay to hold on to parts of you, and it's okay to let go of things that you just don't need in life. Like, yeah, I want to be. I know I was like 3 different things.
No, please.
Oh yeah. Oh, I just want to be remembered as somebody. An inspiring force, I guess. That's a hard question.
Yeah. And to that point, do you have any advice for anyone who's still trying to figure out what path they want to go on? Anyone that feels like they're at their last resort with whatever they're doing, or just needs a pick me up to find inspiration for anything they want to do in the future?
Okay, yeah. For people who are feeling that, I would say remember where you started. If the journey's hard, you're gonna be able to appreciate it much more. There's more of an achievement when the journey is hard. Like, you have to be able to appreciate the journey to reach the destination. And
Exactly.
you might want to quit along the way, but you just gotta like tell yourself, like, is it really worth quitting this thing that I want to do because I want to get a quick rush of dopamine real fast because what I think I'm doing isn't working out for me? You might excel at something or finally become something 5 years from now. Might be tomorrow, might be in a few days, might be in a few months. So it's just like, you never know when anything will happen. But one, are you being consistent? Two, are you working toward whatever you want to be? Three, are you giving yourself advice versus just giving everybody else advice and trying to be everybody's like mentor or something like that? Are you being your own mentor? Are you feeding something that you need to feed yourself?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be able to take in everything that you're putting out. Like, don't just keep putting out and putting out and putting out.
Yeah.
Really, like, understand that as a person you're growing, and just love what you're doing. And although it might seem hard sometimes, just know that the struggle is worth it, and keep practicing every single day, because it'll happen.
Yeah, and it will happen. And I mean, that's something I struggle with too. So that advice was kind of for me as well, because, you know, like I said, I'm constantly trying to find out where I'm going. But like you said in the beginning, we're all drifters trying to find our way. That all ties back into the Passerby. So make sure y'all go stream it, right?
Yes, sir.
But Marcus has been great. I mean, like I said before, you are amazing. What you're doing is amazing. To be able to do acting and music, like, that's a flex. I'm gonna just say that.
It's a flex.
But do you have anyone that you want to shout out, or any last words that you want to say?
I'm gonna shout out before I say the last words. I'm gonna shout out you for just like having this platform for people just to talk, to share their emotions, express their feelings, just to dive deep into somebody's mind. I feel like that's the deepest thing that we could do as humans. Just that's the psychology of it all, and just the philosophy of understanding people is something that other people need to take more into consideration. So I thank you for having Tiny Mike Talks, and now we get to both talk on the Tiny Mike and just be dope, two dope creatives. And I hope that we get to work more along the way. Well, we will work more along the way. We will. And shout out to Peyton, young Peyton,
shout out to Peyton
DiCaprio. Peyton, when I met Peyton, he was just, I already knew, like, we were just locked in. We was locked in for real.
Immediately.
Like, it didn't take long. Like, we had a lot of the same interests, cartoons, TV shows, movies. Like, we still joke around and talk about Spider-Man like all the time, just different Spider-Man.
Oh my god, he loves me some Spider-Man.
Yeah, so we were able to just you know, we became friends. Yeah, just chop it up. Like, it was easy, and I feel like those are just the best friendships, where it's easy to talk to people and stuff like that. And me and Pan, like, now we're doing Who Killed Mr. Matthews, and I'm acting in that movie, he's acting in the movie, we both wrote it. So it's just like, this is one of the things that became of this relationship. And we just became friends last December, and our Reynolds self-promotion and marketing class. So yeah, who else should I shout out? Shout out my I'm gonna say other people. Oh yeah, shout out my friends. No, shout out Keisha, Obed, Quantrez, Lamont. Who else? My friend Tion.
Everybody. Shout out.
I got so much love for the game, man. Like, and those are like some of those people I named are people like Quantrez, director. That man is creative. Like, that's a creative dude if I ever seen one. Like, this man has shown us like so many different avenues of art that he's trying to pursue. Like, he's a music video producer. He does he's making films now, but just seeing that he was able to transfer those elements into his music is just phenomenal, because it's like the idea of just translating different information that you learned on one side of a spectrum to another side of a spectrum, it's tough. And I would say shout out my friend Jeremiah and my other friend Michael. So Jeremiah and my friend Tyson and just everybody. Yeah, I love everybody. But yeah, shout out them, because I make music with them. And my friend Michael does videos, and Jeremiah, he's also someone who makes music with me. He's a great rapper too. Onyx the rapper on all platforms. Keisha, great actress. She's gonna go far. We're all gonna go far. Just do or die. You only live once, so we gotta full send everything that we're doing, and just don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up. That's the word. Mic drop right there. Just leave it at that. But thank you, Marcus. I appreciate you for coming on. We'll definitely have to chop it up again on a later episode too. But
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. Look, it's not a one and done type thing. You always have an invitation to come back on. So I mean, thank you again. And this has been no problem. This has been another episode of Tiny Mic Talks. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again on the next episode.
Goodbye. Peace. Have a good time.